Nothing happens to you. Everything happens to you. Your boss is unfair. Your ex ruined you. Your family didn't prepare you. The economy collapsed. Bad luck followed you. The world is rigged. And your brain has one response. None of this is your fault. Welcome to the victim. The mental state that gives your pain a name and takes away your power. Right now, it's building a very compelling case against everyone else. Here's what most people don't understand about the victim. It's not about being weak. It's about being stuck. You've been hurt. Real hurt. Maybe it was your childhood. Maybe it was betrayal. Maybe it was just bad luck compounding. And your brain decided, this is what happened to me. Not because of me. To me. The victim isn't lying. Your circumstances might have been genuinely unfair. But here's the problem. If nothing is your fault, then nothing is your power either. You can't change what's happening to you. You can only resent it. And resentment feels better than helplessness. So you wear it like armor. But armor is a cage. And you're both the prisoner and the guard. Let's talk about where this comes from. The victim usually starts with real trauma. An absent parent, a financial crisis, discrimination, abuse. Something genuinely painful that you didn't cause and couldn't control. So your brain made sense of it the only way it could. This happened to me. I'm a victim of circumstance. That story kept you safe. It explained why things hurt. It gave you permission to grieve. It made sense. But then you never updated it. You kept telling the same story, over and over, until the story became your identity. Sometimes the victim forms differently. You grew up getting rescued. Every problem was solved for you. You never learned to solve your own. So when you finally had to, it felt impossible, like the world was against you. The victim wasn't born from weakness. It was born from circumstances you couldn't control. The problem is, you're still treating everything like you can't control it. Here's how the victim operates. Something goes wrong. Maybe you didn't get the job. Maybe a relationship ended. Maybe you failed. And immediately, your brain finds the external cause. They were biased. They weren't ready for commitment. The test was unfair. This isn't analysis. This is self-protection. Because if it's their fault, you don't have to sit with the uncomfortable truth. Maybe you could have done something differently. So the victim collects evidence. Every rejection becomes proof of the world's unfairness. Every setback becomes another story about how rigged things are. And the longer this goes on, the more real it feels. You're not exaggerating, you're just noticing. The world is unfair. Some people do have advantages. Some doors are closed to some people. The victim is right. But being right and being stuck are the same thing. Here's what the victim costs you. Agency. The ability to influence your own life. If everything's external, you're not a person acting in your life, you're a thing that things happen to. Growth. You can't grow from something that wasn't your fault. So you stay exactly where you are, resentful, but unchanged. Relationships. People get tired of the resentment. They want to help, but you've already decided help is impossible. So they leave. And the victim says, "See, everyone abandons me too." Hope. The victim kills hope. Because if you're not responsible, you can't fix anything. You can only wait for the world to change. And it won't. Here's the cruelest part. The victim is often right about the injustice. Maybe you were treated unfairly. Maybe the system is rigged. Maybe your circumstances were harder than someone else's. But there's a difference between acknowledging unfairness and making it your entire identity. One is truth. The other is a prison. Okay, so how do you work with the victim? Strategy 1. Separate the story from the situation. The victim is a really good storyteller. It's built a narrative where you're the main character and everyone else is the antagonist. But separation is possible. You can acknowledge, yes, unfair things happened, and now I'm here. What do I do from here? Not, these things happened and now my life is ruined. But, these things happened, they hurt, and I get to decide what comes next. Strategy 2. Find one thing you can actually control. The victim sees a problem and sees only the parts you can't control. You didn't get hired. You can't control the interviewer's bias. True. But you can control prepping better, interviewing somewhere else, getting different feedback, developing new skills. Start small. One area where you have actual power. Use it. Do it. Because every time you use your power, you teach your nervous system, I'm not helpless. I can actually influence things. Strategy 3. Grieve, then move. The victim doesn't want you to process pain. It wants you to live in it. But grief has an endpoint. You feel it. You acknowledge it. You move through it. It doesn't mean denying what happened. It means, I'm sad about what happened. And I'm still here. And I still get to build a life. The victim fights this, because moving forward feels like you're saying, it was okay. It wasn't, but staying stuck isn't the answer. Strategy 4. Find evidence of your power. The victim collected evidence of helplessness. Now collect different evidence. A time you solved something, a challenge you faced, a person you helped, a goal you reached despite obstacles. Not to be arrogant, but to remind your brain, you're not actually helpless. You're just telling yourself you are. Here's the truth. The victim doesn't want you to know. You have more power than you think. Not over the unfair things that happened, those are gone, but over what you do from here. You're not a victim of your life. You're the protagonist. And protagonists don't wait for rescue. They act. Will everything be fair? No. Will some doors be harder to open? Maybe. But some doors, you can open. Some problems, you can solve. Some futures, you can build. The victim will keep whispering that you're stuck. But every time you do something despite that voice, you prove it wrong. You're not broken. You're not cursed. You're someone who experienced something hard, and you get to decide what happens next. So, what's your pattern? Do you blame everything on external circumstances? Resent people for not helping? Feel like the world's rigged against you? Drop it in the comments. Let's normalize admitting we're all looking for someone to blame. Sometimes it's worth looking inward instead. Next week, Localhost, the rescuer. You fix everyone. You save everyone. But nobody saves you. We're examining why helping others is easier than accepting help, and how to matter to yourself. Subscribe for weekly episodes. And hey, if you've been waiting for someone to change your life, maybe start with you. See you next time. You have more power than you think. Act like it.